Hi, it's Sandy Wiley. This morning I'm going to talk about the psychology behind monkey see, monkey do, and how that applies to my experience with unethical psychologists. Now, everyone that follows me knows my story about the three psychologists I was involved with. In case you're late to the game, I'll briefly fill you in. I was seeing Dick primarily for therapy, 5 hours a week, until that dwindled down to like 10, 15 minutes sessions. So I got other psychologists to fill in the gap so I could get adequate coverage. And Dick was seeing me for free, so these other psychologists took my health insurance. And one of them, Jim, I can't mention his last name because I signed something legal. I got involved in a sexual affair with that lasted 2 years, which Dick, Dr. Geist, Dr. Richard Geist, known as Dick, encouraged me and told me to to go for it. And he also saw Jim and I as a couple, even though I was still very married, living at home with my husband and my young son, which affected my family gravely. Now, I also was seeing a third psychologist, Dr. Jeffrey Fortgang from Yale. So that's three psychologists. And I told him about Jim. He told me he didn't believe that any patient of his, he did not believe in seeing anyone that his patient knows or is related to or is dating or anything like that. He says, anytime I do that, I always get in trouble. It never works out. It doesn't work out for a reason, right? Just think about it. If you're seeing a psychologist and you say, oh, can my best friend, see you too? And then you get in a fight with your best friend, see um, how can they be impartial, right? If they're seeing your best friend as their patient, and you go into your session with them, it could be your sister or anyone. You get what I'm saying, right? And then you go into your session and say, "Oh, she did this and this and this," and then he's also seeing, your best friend, and your best friend's going to him and saying, "You know what? She did this and this and this." Now, you're seeing both of these people, right? That know each other very well. They're best friends. How can you be impartial? What are you going to do? That's never a good idea, right? So that's what he told me. But since I told him that Dr. Geis from Harvard was seeing me and Jim, he decided, well, if Dick is doing it, and Dick was a renowned psychologist. He gave speeches throughout the country. He's written books. He's written in journals. A lot of people look up to him in the field. So he's renowned in his field. Self psychology. There's not too many self psychologists in the Boston area. That is. So once Jeffrey heard that Dick was doing this, then, oh, well, and that psychology is wrong. It's wrong, monkey see, monkey do, because you see someone else doing something, doesn't make it all right. Following the herd, okay, that does not make it all right. If if someone else is like a gang rape, they made a movie. I think Jodie Foster was in it. I'm not 100% sure about this woman who was gang raped at a nightclub. And what happened was more and more men started to take turns raping her because they thought it was all right because the guys ahead of them were doing it. So their mentality, see how sick, psychologically sick it is? If every one of these guys is raping this woman, it must be okay. She's loose. She don't care. She's a whore anyway, right? That's not coming from me. I'm saying I don't believe in that. But the mentality in the bar that night, this is a true story. The movie was based on a true story. I don't know the name of the movie. I think Jodie Foster played in it, but I could be wrong on that. But I do remember it was a true story that this woman went to a bar dressing, sexy. It doesn't matter how someone dresses. It's wrong. No one asked to be raped. And she was flirting with someone, and he raped her, and then someone held her down, and another guy raped her, and pretty soon, like, everyone at the bar raped that woman. Because why do you think that was? Because monkey see, monkey do. If everyone else is doing it, it must be all right. Everyone's doing it. No, that mentality is wrong. That means that people have no minds of their own, If someone is throwing a stone at a woman in the street and another guy comes and throws a stone at a woman, right? Or hits the same woman, are you going to walk by and say, well, everyone else is doing it, let me pitch in too? No. It's never all right. What Jeffrey should have done is he should have reported Jim, okay? But why is he going to go against the great Dr. Geist, right? Who's renowned in his field, who gives speeches across the country. He gives speeches in other countries, not just this country, okay? He's pretty well known and up there in his field of self-psychology. So he probably looks at it, and even though Jeffrey's very, very insecure, that's why our therapy didn't work, because of his countertransference issues. He's an extremely insecure person. Extremely. So he probably thought, gee, if he's doing it and he's renowned, he's a great Dr. Geist, then it's okay for me to do it. Instead of being your own person and saying, no, what he's doing is unethical. He should not be condoning, let alone supporting and encouraging an unethical sexual relationship between a patient and therapist. That's a dual relationship, a multiple relationship that is a violation of the therapy, because the number one violation in therapy is having sex with your patient. That's a number one no, 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 no. In 26 states, you can go to jail. It's a crime. It's criminal. It's the equivalent of statutory rape. It's rape. I was raped by my psychologist. It's called statutory rape. I consented, but it's not really consent. It does not equal consent because of the power differentiation between the two, that I was in a vulnerable position and he was in a role of authority. And that's why I can never give consent. The patient can never give consent, even though you can say, well, I didn't say no, I even initiated. It doesn't matter. You're not mentally, it's like my handicapped son, Alex. He's 27 years old, so he's an adult, but mentally he's 2, and we're his, we look over him, okay? He cannot make up, he doesn't know what's right for him. He can't even sign his name. He can't read or sign his name. We're his guardians. He needs guardians, that he's that incapacitated. So if a woman, and this did happen, he was sexually abused, my son. I don't want to go into it, but because he could not give consent. So this did happen to him, So someone his own age, right? Say it's another 27-year-old woman. Unless she is mentally impaired and didn't know what she was doing. But she wasn't. She was a staff person. So she wasn't mentally incompetent, right? If she does something sexual with my son, she raped him. Because my son cannot give consent. Do you see how my life has been It's been one nightmare after another. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is the monkey see, monkey do philosophy. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And that also played in with Jim, the man I was having an affair with. Because I told Jim about Dick, and he already knew who Dick was. He told me he was on the Cape on vacation, and he saw big posters with Dick's name on it about the speeches he was giving on the Cape. Yeah, so big, huge posters. Dr. Richard Geist giving this speech. So he already knew and heard of Dick before I was Jim's patient. So he already was looked up and said, wow, that's a great doctor there, right? No. Most of my doctors have abused me, even medical doctors. Yeah. I don't want to go into all the details. I'll never trust a doctor again as long as I live. That's how badly abused I've been. But, so when I told Jim that Dick is saying, oh, we should go for it. We should, have a relationship. That Dick knows many psychologists that they even married their patients. That, this is normal. This happens, Then Jim is starting to think, gee, just like Jeffrey. When Jeffrey agreed to do couples therapy because Dick was doing couples therapy with me and Jim. Now, who ever heard of that? A couple having two couples therapists? Like a married couple having two marriage counselors. Seeing two together. They both have, two? And this is while I'm married, okay? And in an unethical relationship, a criminal relationship with my psychologist. Now, Jim fell into the trap too, because Jim thought, gee, if Dick is supporting this and encouraging this, it must be all right. So there, Dick has brainwashed 3 people now, but I'm not a doctor. I'm just a very vulnerable woman with a lot of trouble who turned into an alcoholic because of all her psychologists. He's brainwashed me, but that's easy because, I'm hung up on him. I'm his patient, Yale, a psychologist who's been in the field for like 40 years from Yale, graduated Yale, written books, and a very popular song. And he's on Wikipedia. You can look him up. Dr. Jeffrey Forking. Look him up. He's on Wikipedia. And then Jim. So it looked like Dr. Geist had 3 people wrapped around his finger, wound tight. But not anymore. Fortunately, I broke away. I've been a year and a half clean from therapy. A year and a half. And I went to the licensing board. And I'm trying to get my story out there. I've written books. I'll give you the links down below. I've written books about all this, what's happened to me. And now I've gone on LinkedIn and I have like a newsletter that goes out. I think I've almost got 1,400 subscribers as of now. And the numbers keep climbing every day. So people are subscribing and they're, reading my articles and, watching my videos and seeing what fellow psychologists are actually doing behind closed doors, right? And the monkey see, monkey do mentality, what are we, just a bunch of apes that just follow each other blindly? Don't we have any minds of our own? Don't we have any morals or any high standards ourselves? Do these doctors just fall in line with what the herd is doing, what everyone else is doing? You see how easy it is to sway people? So, my advice to you is listen to your gut. Listen to yourself. Don't go by what someone else is doing, even if you admire that person. If you look up to that person and think they're the bomb, they're the world, and everyone else is listening to that person, if something inside of you says, this doesn't feel right, even though all my friends and everyone are doing what this person says, that's like a cult mentality, okay? These doctors were acting like they were in a cult. You know, the leader of the cult says this and everyone follows like sheep, right? That's the monkey see, monkey do mentality. They're all sheep. They all follow, like they're in a cult. They have no minds of their own. They're like monkeys. They say monkeys are supposed to be very intelligent. But you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to give you advice that it's not wise to follow someone if they're not doing the right thing. Even if they're from Harvard or Yale, even if they're renowned in their field and famous, even if they're famous, okay, and they're a millionaire, and everyone looks up to them, and you're the only one who's saying, nah, I don't think what they're doing is right. I'm not going to go along with that. Even if you have to stand alone. I know it's so hard to stand alone. Believe me, I stand alone. I'm all alone, okay? I'm all alone. But I'm going to stand up straight, right? And I'm going to tell my story. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue writing books. I'm going to continue marketing books. I'm going to continue writing articles until people see that it's not right, okay? So don't take the monkey see, monkey do mentality. Don't go along with the herd. If something is wrong and you feel it in your gut, say to yourself, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be, if one of those guys in that nightclub, if he only picked up the phone and called the police when the gang of guys was raping that woman, but they were all monkeys. They all thought, oh, well, they're all doing it. I'll just join in, Not one of them had the guts to say, no, what they're doing to that woman is criminal. There's like over a dozen men. I can't, defend a dozen men. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them what's going on instead of participating in it. You see? Even if someone didn't participate in it, if he was there and saw it and just walked out the door and didn't call the police or try to stop it, they're just as guilty because they did nothing. Even if they didn't rape the woman, if they knew what was going on and just decided, I don't want anything to do with this, and walked out the door without helping that woman, without calling the police, they're just as guilty. Okay? You got to get rid of this monkey see, monkey do mentality and know yourself what's right and what's wrong. And it doesn't matter what other people, I don't care what those people are, if they're doctors from Yale or Harvard, if they're doing wrong, they're wrong. And if everyone goes along like monkeys, let them go along, but not you. You be different. You stand up for what's right, okay? And that's my message to you.